If I had an opportunity to speak to the president, I would tell him, take a break, put some young blood in that office, find some new ideas, young, fresh faces, people who don't want to benefit for themselves, people who are really passionate about helping out the people. That's what I would say to him.
Greetings, and more greetings to you, good people. My name is DJ Oli, and welcome to Point 5 Creative Studios. Chitubu che content, chitubu chisingapwi, chitubu chinonwa nemunhu wese, chitubu chakavhenekwa, chikaongororwa nana mazvikokota kunzi aiwaka. Chitubu ichi chine content iri healthy, content iri clean, content yakachena, yakakodzera kunge chikonsumwa nemunhu akaita kunge iwewe. Ndosaka kuti panapa muzuva ranhasi. So if it's your first time here, dzvanya subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any exciting content uploaded. Kana unga wagara uri mugari wepanapa dango kutenda nekuita sei nekukurumidza kubhadhara rent. Thank you very much for supporting Point 5 Creative Studios. Right, nyaya yandiri kufamba nayo zvamanje manje inyaya yemusikana Vera Chisvo akanyorawo tsamba iri kuenda kumukuru wenyika ine mashoko akasiyana achitaurawo zviri pamwoyo pake kuti wori watekeshera zvisingaite munyika. Akataurawo nyaya yekuti hanzi health system yedu yadhakwa kusvika palast number. Ndakutosha kurwara, ndakutosha kuita pamuviri ndiri muZimbabwe because ndanzwa nyaya dzinotyisa pamusoro pezvipatara zvedu zvemuZimbabwe. Hanzi chipatara chinenge chisina mvura, chipatara mazviremba havana maglovos. Kana wakutonozvara unonzi uya nemaglovos ako, uya nemainjections ako, uya nemushonga wako, woita sei wobatsirwa. Mawani aya rega ndiregedze kuramba ndichitaurisa, tipinde muvhidhiyo muzvionere mega, muzvinzwire mega. Zvikanzi ivo ava vanhu vatinovhotera ava vachiita kunge vanesu pamwoyo, vane hanya nevanhu. The moment yavari kungoita step into parliament vakutofunga ivo nemhuri dzavo, ruzhinji rwese harusisina basa. Mashoko makuru arutaurwa nemusikana uyu handitika, but tisingatambise nguva rega tipinde muvhidhiyo. Pandisati ndapinda muvhidhiyo rangu rega ndingokurangaridzai pamusoro pegwenzi rinonzi gwenzi rePhytomed. Ndo gwenzi riri kuita zvinhu zvamanje manje, ndo gwenzi riri kushanda zvamanje manje. Unofanira kugara unaro mumba. Ukaita musoro, ukaita mudumbu, ukaita musana, ukaita maronda asingapori, ukaita dumbu hombe, ukaita chipi nechipi chawaita chirwere, ukada kungocleana system kuti unge uri fresh, ukada kubvisa nyongo, kurapa nyongo, zvese izvi zvinoitika. Madrinks atiri kunwa, zvichikafu zvatiri kudya zvakasiyana, gwenzi iri rinorapa, rinocleana, rinoita zvese handitika. Saka kana uri muZimbabwe bata nhamba dzakanzi +263 irodzo, wotaura nemusikana anonzi Nyari. Kana uri kuSouth Africa bata nhamba dzakanzi +27 idzo, wotaura nani? Wotaura naFochi wokuitira mudhiginyira wacho handitika. Asi kana uri kune dzimwe nyika ukawabata vasikana ava, iva vari vaviri ava vanokuudza zvekuita sei zvekuita handitika. Zvinhu zvako zvoita sei zvoenda kumbera handitika. Right, regai tipinde muvhidhiyo tinzwe musikana achitaura kuti wori baba, wori wanetsa, ndo chinhu chakuwadza nyika, zviri zvachi zvamanje manje handitika. Saka rega titeerere tinzwe kuti zvakamira 1-1 apa.
My name is Makura Dai Machizorora, also known as Vera. I'm a musician. I also run my own creative hub called the Incubator Hub, and I also work with youth development organizations in Harare. There's so much corruption in this country that it's the norm. When you find no corruption, it feels awkward. Whereas in other spaces, in other environments, in other countries, corruption is something that's really frowned upon, and something actually happens when you see something corrupt happening. I think there's a new law or a new SI or a new, I don't know, situation with people double parking in town and everything. And the first reaction I had to that new rule by the police is that these are new opportunities for corruption to happen in the police department, because nothing in Zim is ever straightforward. So the level of corruption is just, yeah.
Hanzi hapana chemuZimbabwe chiri straightforward. Level of corruption yacho panguva pakanyorwa tsamba iyi nanhasika I think tatuve ku 1000% kukwira mudenga panyaya yehuori. I'm sure tiri pa number 1 panyaya yehuori muAfrica kana pakutaurwa nyaya dzehuori. Idzi dzinyaya dziri mumapepa idzi munotodziziva, hatingarambe tichidzokorodza, but ari kungotaura kuti hanzi hapana chiri straightforward muZimbabwe.
It's on levels. Just to mention how afraid I am of the healthcare system in Zimbabwe. I'm afraid to get sick. I'm afraid to get pregnant in this country because you hear horror stories. And it would be better if these stories were isolated to, rural areas, undercapacitated areas, marginalized areas. But, in our very own capital city, you hear horror stories of what's happening in the hospitals, where people are being denied access to, medical treatment, where nurses are overworked and exhausted, where doctors are constantly on strike because they don't have money, where hospitals don't have gloves, even running water. I've heard horror stories at, maternity wards where the women aren't given clean water, the toilets don't flush, they're given 1 bucket of water for the day, and it's frightening. And even just looking at things like medical insurance, no matter how much you're paying, I'm paying over $50 for my medical insurance, but the number of shortfalls I have literally does not balance. And so it almost doesn't make sense for me to pay medical aid, because at the end of the day, I'm still paying full. The shortfall is still practically the same as me just, not paying medical aid and then just paying for whatever services I need. For you to get quality treatment, you have to save up your salary for 3 months worth for you to go to a private hospital to get the care that you really do need. If there's anyone who has any specialized problems, you know that it's choosing between potentially dying of this disease or maybe trying to start a GoFundMe or trying to borrow from every single person you know, selling everything you own just so that you can get treated for something. So the medical system in Zimbabwe it's upsetting, it's deplorable, and unfortunately, the only person to blame is the government. I don't understand people who are upset with the doctors and nurses for going on strike. If you were in the same situation as them where you're working at a job that you really love, but you're being paid peanuts, I don't think you would be very happy to wake up every morning and go to work. Yes, jobs are a calling, but also at the end of the day, you need to eat and you need to survive. I think with the education system, it suffers from the same disease as the healthcare system, where not enough funding is going into the education system. You have government schools where the government teachers, I think I heard sometime last year that student teachers earn 100 bond a month. I don't think there was any part of last year where earning 100 bond or 150 bond a month could sustain you. Transport alone goes over 150 bond. So again, if I may be called to teach, I may have a passion for educating people, but if you're going to pay me peanuts, I will not have the motivation or the means. Let's not even look at the motivation to go to work, but the means to just go to work every day and teach these students and educate these students. So I think that's also it plays a very big part, that if people are underpaid, if there's not enough resources going into the education system, if our exam system is extremely flawed. We went from having one of the best exam systems in the world, where you could go to any country and be like, I've got so many A's for ZimSec, to where people are like, oh, you have ZimSec, maybe you need to write this exam also so that we can, understand how intelligent you are. So it's very unfortunate that our education system has gotten to this point where our kids aren't learning, our teachers aren't teaching, and our schools are also undercapacitated to teach the students what they need to learn.
Hanzi nyaya yekudzidza, my teachers, they are not motivated. Havana chinovakurudzira kuti vaise effort, nekuti mari yavari kupiwa imari shoma, imari isingakwane. Hanzi pandori neimwe nguva yaoti ndakanyora exam rezimsec, kotonzi takutombokupa rimwe exam unyore futi tikuone kuti uri papi. mahwani, zvinhu zvinorwadza, zvinhu zvinosiririsa. Handitika tisati tapfuurira mberi nevhidhiyo redu, ndikutaura izvoti kana uri mugari wemuSouth Africa, rongeka kana une kabhindauko kako kauri kuita, kana une bhizimusi rako rauri kuita, aiwa zvanyore kuregister company. Handitika register company wovhura bank account, izvi zvakungoitwa une passport chete, chero usina permit. Saka bata Owen panhamba idzo dziri pascreen idzo, womutaurira kuti Owen, ndabva kuna DJ Holly, vari kutaura kuti iwewe ndiwe munhu wacho ari kuita sei, ari kuita zvinhu. Handitika rega tipedzise pasara.
We don't have people that are willing to serve the country. We have people who are willing to serve themselves. That's the biggest issue with this country. So once you get into politics, once you get into the government, once you become a member of parliament, you have basically made a decision in your life that you want to serve your country, you want to serve your people. And I think with Zimbabwe, the biggest issue is that people might initially get into office because they're like, no, we want to help out, but then a week later, it's about how can I serve myself? How can I get money from this? How can I benefit from the system in whatever way it is? So the biggest problem is that our government isn't serving the people, they're serving themselves. If I had an opportunity to speak to the president, I'd tell him, take a break, put some young blood in that office, find some new ideas, young, fresh faces, people who don't want to benefit for themselves, people who are really passionate about helping out the people. That's what I would say to him. Because I think right now, everyone who's in office right now, they're corrupt, they're tired. They've been in the system for too long. They're not thinking differently. They're not trying to do anything differently. They just want to stick with the system that's there. So I would just tell him that, hey, buddy, you've done a great thing. You've done also some bad things, but my advice to you is step away from the spotlight, find somebody else, find some young blood, some fresh ideas, young people who have fresh ideas, who have the energy to also put in the work that this country needs, because this country needs a lot of work. We don't need someone who should be retiring at home on their farm, leading the country. We need someone who's young, who has new ideas, who hasn't been fighting in this MDC ZANU-PF war. I think we just need a completely fresh face of ministers, of presidents, of vice presidents, just a new group of people. The patriotic bill for me it's just an excuse to control people, to change the narrative of what's really happening on the ground. I think it's a way to have the government protect themselves from the outside world knowing what's happening. I think the biggest mistake that the new dispensation made was they gave people the idea that we had freedom of speech and that we could share our story. And I think last year the Zimbabwean Lives Matter movement scared them, to be very honest. And I think now, with the way technology is moving so fast, that I can see something now, take a video with it on my phone, put it on Twitter, in an hour it's trending all over the world. You can have Barack Obama then retweeting and asking Idiko Alpha. I think that scares them, and I think by incorporating the patriotic bill, it then gives them some sort of a protection, some sort of a shield to make sure that what happened last year with the Zim Lives Matter movement, what's happening now with all of these movements where people are stopping things or spreading awareness on the corruption, on the injustices that are happening, that's their way of protecting themselves from those issues spreading.
Right, mazvinzwira mega, mazvionera mega, musikana achitaura kuti hanzi ndikawana mukana wekutaura nemukuru wenyika, aiwa ndinongotaura kuti mukuru, maruwa kurwa kwakanaka, makaita zvinhu zvakanaka and makaita zvimwe zvinhu zvakaipa, but dai mambosiyawo mopawo vechidiki vanotemwa dzinobva ropa. Handitika ndo mashoko NaVera Chisvo haanga achitaura. So as for me, DJ Holly and the rest of the crew behind the scenes, I would thank you for watching and thank you for supporting Point 5 Creative Studios. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any exciting content uploaded. Never to know upload my videos each and every day. And so it's bye for now.